In today's episode, Jo's sharing what it's like stepping into the sport as a complete beginner, learning to swim, ride and run, the nutrition mistakes that she was making before joining the Triathlon Nutrition Academy, and some of the light bulb moments she has already learnt just in phase 1 of the program. From fueling training sessions properly and recovering faster, Jo is learning how to treat her body and her nutrition with the same strategies that she applies to business. And as you'll see, the results are starting to show. So if you're balancing training with a really busy life and you're not quite sure if you're getting the right nutrition, then this one is for you. Let's get into it. Welcome to the podcast, Jo. I'm so excited to talk to you today and just share a little bit about your story. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yay! So before
exciting.
we get into all the things, can you give us a little bit of a background about who you are?
Okay. So I am a rookie triathlete. I've been in this sport for less than 2 years. And really, I've spent a very long chunk of my life actually working as an accountant in the self-managed super fund industry. So I guess I've lived a few lives over my life so far, lots of different versions of me. But really, my life's work has been dedicated to helping people to have a really healthy, happy retirement. And I've been very focused through my entire life on the later stages of life. Most of that has been with a financial focus. So helping everyday Aussies to start early, use superannuation to build wealth over a long period of time so that they would be able to have a good standard of living, I guess, in retirement.
Yep.
And so I grew a very big audit business that really worked with the accountants and advisors that help mums and dads run their own super fund, make those decisions. And I don't know, I just fell in love with it because I came from a background where we didn't have very much money. Retirement was always really scary to my parents and grandparents. How will we ever stop working? Am I ever going to have enough to be able to retire and do anything once the rat race ends? So I really loved doing that role. And the business got quite big and it was an amazing adventure, but it was eventually bought by Deloitte, which I didn't anticipate as being a retirement before the age of 40. So I was not selling to retire, but I ended up finding myself in early retirement.
Pro-life.
Yeah, which is amazing, which explains a lot why I have so much time on my hands to go from not being able to swim or ride or run to being basically full-time, an age group athlete, starting very much at the back of the pack, but hoping to work my way through over time.
So that is amazing. And it's cool that you have these experiences as a child that then shape what you do in adulthood. That's a whole nother topic of conversation for another day, I think.
Yeah.
But do you have pro hours? Do you really solely focus on just swim, bike and run? And you dabble in a lot of things, I think.
I like to give my time to worthy causes, I guess you could say, and also to use my skills wherever my focus is too. So I have kind of stepped onto the Queensland Triathlon board. I work with Triathlon in a governance role as well. I wouldn't say they take up a lot of my time, but it's really enjoyable to volunteer through those roles and be able to use that kind of expertise as well. I have a huge passion for growing communities and growing memberships and businesses and that. So I usually will be the first to put up my hand to say, hey, I'm here. What would you like to use me for kind of thing. So I've had a variety of roles over the years that where I tend to follow my energy. So if I step into something and it drains my energy, I'll back out pretty quickly. If it's something that fills me with energy and I can see that I'm making a difference and I'm being valued, I'll be all in on that. So that's the freedom, I guess, that I've worked my life to achieve.
So good. And you do the pro hours that most people want to do.
Yes.
But did you really come from not being able to swim, ride or run?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And how long have you been trying to build that into doing triathlon as a sport?
I actually saw a couple of triathlons. I went and was just spectating. I had friends that were doing triathlon and I knew nothing about it. But from the get-go, I was just watching, particularly what caught my eye was older women. And so it seems like this crazy kind of outlet that I've suddenly done. But actually, when I sat back and thought about it, of course, like if I've spent my whole life thinking about aging well and healthy and, you know, having money and lifestyle and all that kind of stuff, that the sight of these older women in their 50s and 60s that were out there doing this sport and they just looked strong, and I just wanted that for myself so badly. And I thought, if they can do it, I want to give it a go and see if I can do it and just see. You know, I was proud of them and I wanted to be one of them. So I was not on the sidelines for very long at all. I fairly quickly was like identified a race. Signed
what
up
was your
as a
first
team.
race? What was your first race?
It was like the QTS, like Rabina Tri, middle of summer, like the hottest day.
The January one, that's, always like
It's
35
so bad,
degrees.
except I couldn't swim and I couldn't ride. And it was a team and a sprint. So I just had to try and run 5Ks. Could I run 5Ks? Absolutely not. I walk, run it. But I was like, okay, that was like the first thing. And I just kept showing up every day. And I haven't stopped showing up every day since that day, basically.
And fast forward 18 months. How long have you been doing triathlon for?
Yeah, about 18 months. Yeah.
So fast forward 18 months and you just completed Geelong 70.3 a couple of weeks ago. Like that's amazing to teach yourself or learn how to swim, learn how to stay upright on a bike and run that far.
I've fallen off my bike so many times. I've raced in the dirtiest, scariest water. That was my fourth 70.3 in under a year.
Yeah,
so
wow.
I definitely, that's the time, like having that. I said to you, if it's energy, if it gives me energy and I'm learning and growing and I feel like I've got some value, like, I'll be all in.
Yeah.
So
this sport is very addictive, addictive.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Same. So what were you doing with your nutrition through the last 18 months then? Like you've obviously joined the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program to understand how to eat for this sport, but what were you doing before and where were you finding information and how were you trying to piece it all together?
I was just letting myself be led here and there and everywhere. Just like I was in a triathlon squad, and so there was a lot of, I guess, opinions and things floating around about what people did. I have a few very curious personality, so I do tend to kind of dig in and ask questions and try things that other people are doing and see what was working for me. It became really obvious to me that when I was trying things that were working for other people, and particularly usually men who are real, like very like lean and fat adapted and at a different stage of life to me and just men, you know.
And
like
training history,
just so different. And what I was trying was really, I felt like I was going backwards. So I get quarterly DEXA scans. I'm an auditor, so I'm a data girl.
I've seen the spreadsheets and they are amazing. You give Kelly a run for his money.
Yeah, I love it. So that was telling a bit of a story that what I was feeling was not just in my mind, but actually there was areas that I wasn't progressing and potentially even going backwards. There was one even where I noticed a jump in visceral fat mass, and I was like, this fat, you know, like this focus on fat and no carbs, this was not working for me.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is I've had my gallbladder out, which happened. So I've got 4 children. After the 4th child, I had a gallbladder attack really bad and that had to come out. There was no choice there. It was too late. So that impacts how my body processes fats, particularly good and bad fats. And so that was another reason why I had just physiological differences that were meaning that the diets that I was trying to copy and follow were not working. The other thing was that every time I saw, because my life has kind of like gone into this triathlon space and following and getting to know the who's who, and like that has brought your videos to me over time. And every time you spoke, I was like, that's me. Yeah, I'm winging it. Yeah, I have no idea. And I'm not really happy to just sit there and recognize, you know, that that about myself and not do something about it.
Yeah, you're definitely a go-getter.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here because I have a lot to teach you and we're only just getting started.
Yes.
So you've just finished phase 1 of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program where we really just focus on your day-to-day nutrition. Looking back, now that you know what you know, looking back at, 6 months ago, are there any really big mistakes that you were making that you're like, holy crap, I can't believe I was doing that you've now kind of fixed or rectified?
Yeah, definitely. I was under fueling, which I was already aware of, but I didn't understand. When you're here with the purpose of aging well and getting stronger, I didn't understand that under fueling could be actually
detrimental
in some ways. Yeah, almost dangerous to that,
Yeah.
So actually learning how all the different nutrients feed into your body and how you draw that in endurance sport has been, my gosh, so valuable to me because I just have a much better understanding of why I need energy, what type of energy I need, and being very conscious about not going in fasted. So my previous sporting experience was basically zero, but I was in the gym. I just did weight training in the gym, hated cardio, didn't everything. Oh, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Anyway, so lots of gym stuff. I guess my experience has been the gym bro diets, the fasted everything, chicken and broccoli, and which I rebelled against that. I just couldn't stand eating the same thing every day.
Yeah.
I can't eat functionally really, and that's the challenge I still have. I don't have a huge appetite. And so to try and force myself to eat, I need to at least be enjoying it a little bit or have it something that I like. Yeah, so being aware of where things sit between each workout, before and after, and actually fueling and refueling. And even now, I guess, what does healing after a big race I've just been through look like? You might just say, okay, I'm just going to rest and have a bit of recovery, but I really wasn't doing anything different whatsoever. So periodization has been a big eye-opener for me as well.
Yeah, it's hard to convert bodybuilding, gym, just general, even healthy eating guidelines into then applying that to triathlon. Even somebody that just runs or just cycles or just swims, when you put the 3 sports together, we have really different physiological needs, and understanding how to eat to that is a game changer for so many athletes. But it's hard. That's what most people are missing. And it's what I love teaching them is how to actually periodize your food to training. Plus, the health span that you've already alluded to is a big value of mine as well. Yeah. And while triathletes come into the program looking for performance gains, they get a side dish of, long-term health and that health span to go with that as well that they maybe didn't even know they needed.
Even for me, I didn't realize I had such a focus on longevity. I thought my purpose was very much about people not financially struggling and just being able to have that financial freedom. But noticing my passion and my drive as I've got into this, I've realized actually, there's a few phases that I've moved through that all tie to longevity. And now I realize it's not just the physical side of it in terms of the effort and the fitness and those side of things, but actually what's going on inside my body as well.
Yeah, I've got some good resources for you, actually. I'll tell you about offline for that
cool.
space.
All right, awesome. Yeah.
Down that hole right now because we'll get lost for hours.
Yeah.
Yes, but you have the same sort of mindset and mentality of me, which is awesome. So, how were you getting through all of your training back then? Were you having daytime naps every day because you could and you had the time? I don't understand how you survived life going from not a lot to then throwing in 3 sports into your week.
I can't daytime nap. I just don't know. I can't do it. I can't shut off. So that doesn't work for me. I've tried it and sometimes I want to, but it just doesn't happen. I mean, I kind of hit the ground running as a teenager straight into big 4 accounting firms, very heavy workloads. I was a mum by the time I was 21. I'm very curious about my capacity and pushing the capacity to see what I can do.
You're going to be a great triathlete.
Yeah. So I think what I've learned about myself is that I feel like the more I do, the more energy I have. I kind of describe it like a kinetic energy in a way. So if I'm, like right now in a bit of forced rest, I struggle a bit. Like I feel like, where is my capacity? Because I'm not, like, it's not being challenged. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in a position where my capacity is being challenged, and I'm kind of having to use those like high organizational skills, like high detailed planning. I'm specifically using my calendar to be at certain places at certain times. Well, I'm revving, like, yeah. So that kind of fills me with energy and off I go. Whereas where I struggle, and the thing that I've had to monitor being full time in this sport now, is when I've got all the time in the world. Like, that is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be on restricted time. And there's a lot of studies around that. Restricting time is where all the efficiency comes from, and usually the highest performers in whatever field they are use that kind of methodology where they're restricting the time. They give them a certain amount of time to do things.
Otherwise, you just procrastinate, right? If you've got all the time in the world, you procrastinate on everything else before doing that thing. But if you've only got this certain window to get something done, then you just get it done.
Smash it. You just smash it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I do love, like, I respond very well to training very early in the morning. So getting up early, just having that regimented. I do that. All my training's done. Let's say that I need to do school drop off, for example. I'm back in the door by 7:30. I get all the school kind of prep and after school stuff done. And then I've got like a window where I'm eating, refueling, resetting, and then going into like a mid-morning training session, which is really good. I like to be done training by lunchtime, and in the afternoon just focus on organization, setting myself up for the next day, any learning that I've got to do, add like life admin stuff that doesn't take a lot of energy. Like, it's just mind-numbing stuff.
And so how are you feeling now? Like, you've got some of your fueling foundations a bit more organised. Like, we've got a long way to go still, but is there a huge difference to your day of training and how that feels and how it works compared to 6 months ago?
Yeah, I'm much more, so I communicate better when I'm in particularly social situations that I need to eat. So, because I've got a thing as well where I like to be very present with people. And it doesn't always serve me well, but I tend to like really give the feeling that I have nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. And that can mean that I put my needs and things that just very much on the back burner.
You also sound like a mum of 4, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Your needs are last.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's part of it. Like, you just find yourself over time, feeding everyone else, doing all the things everyone else needs to do. Yes, I do give myself time, and I live my life. It's not like I've put my life on hold or anything like that. I want to be a good example to my kids that, that I'm satisfied with my own life, and that I continue going for my own goals as well, so that they're free to do that for themselves and make any choice they want and be whoever they want to be. And so the best way of doing that, I think, is for me to do that for me as well. I've just noticed that in social situations that I'll be more clear. I need to eat straight away. Like, I'll sit down at a table now and just order. I don't wait for whatever anyone else is doing, because they might rabbit on for an hour without ordering or whatever. I know that I now know, Taryn told me, I've got this really short window. And I just order my food. I did it in Geelong. I sat down and ate a full roast after that race that night, and just refueled, happy as Larry, while everyone else was just like chatting away about the day.
Yep.
And I felt like, I've put myself first, and I felt way better because I'd done that.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
How do you manage it with 4 kids? I think I probably understand how, but is it just one of the pieces of the puzzle that helps to make you way more efficient, because you've got to get all this stuff done? Training, parenting, house admin, all those things. Like, how do you do it with 4 kids? How do you do triathlon with 4 kids?
Yeah, I've always felt like it's a huge asset to have such responsibility, because, again, I think it just keeps me firing at a level where I'm making sure that I'm doing this for a reason, that it's actually worth it, and, that it's worth the time away from them, that it's, that I'm actually benefiting them in some way from doing it as well.
Yeah.
It just gives me more of a drive to know that I'm showing up for them as well as I'm showing up for myself. So I think it's a huge asset. I don't see it as a detriment. It helps for me that my children are very spaced out. So my eldest is, and I hate to say it because it ages me immediately, but she's 24. She's nearly 25 years old. And my youngest has just turned 9 over the weekend. So a 9-year-old birthday party. So I have 4 kids between 24 and 9. So at home now, I've got the two who are, one's in year 12, doing year 12, and the other one's in year 3. So I've raised the kids fairly individually. They haven't had a lot of time together. I haven't really had to run that minibus kind of life where I'm like stacking them all in together to all go off to the activities. I've had time where, I think the closest distance is about 4 years between each one. So they're in different stages of life. They don't tend to fight with each other because they're not even into the same things. So it's actually, my house is pretty calm and quiet, and, they're very self-sufficient kids as well. So I think it comes down to their home that I create, the example that I set for them, and just having that space between ages. It's pretty helpful.
Yeah, and it's good for you to do things for yourself as well because it makes you a better parent and more patient and all those sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
Me time.
Yeah, it's usually, they're also a great, what do you call it, like barometer to say something's off. So if you start seeing them, get emotional, or, they'll start telling you like that things aren't right if you're not there enough.
Yeah.
I've always found them to be that as well, where they've pulled me up if I'm starting to upset them with my tone a bit, or I'm just like impatient and just like I'm out of whack, then, they'll let you know that as well, obviously. Yeah. So we've had some doozies over the years where, maybe I've just gotten a bit too into what I'm doing, which is pretty easy. Entrepreneur, like, loves just growing things and just going all in on stuff. You can like lose sight of what you're doing it for. So kids are pretty good at bringing you back to reality, I think.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to watch you grow as a triathlete because I feel like, this is just the very tiny tip of the iceberg, and you've got a long journey ahead, which is super exciting. What are you most excited to learn about when it comes to nutrition?
I'm most excited to get to a place where I'm just super comfortable that I've got that nailed. I just want to practice it to the point where it happens no different to any other brain training you do with habits. I love the practice of setting habits where you're saving a heap of energy, you're just getting it done, and it just happens almost like by itself, like subconsciously.
Yep.
That's
you into biohacking?
Yes, definitely. So that's what I'm kind of getting towards, which might explain why I have had to work with you on a list of supplements and things that have snuck into this routine, because it's just like what I'm obviously seeking is ease, like solve this issue, take all these supplements and tablets and stuff, line them up. I don't care. Like, I'm not that hungry anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so I want to do that the smart way, because I definitely don't want to be digging myself a hole at all. So I'm really excited about making things that to me feel really complex at the moment and difficult, because it's lifelong personal habits. So to be able to change them, I'm really excited about. In the meantime, as always, anything like this, you're learning about yourself the whole time. Like when I was in Geelong, because I'm much more aware of my attitudes towards food, how I'm driven by my appetite, like what I struggled with. Geelong was amazing because you and I worked on a race plan for Geelong, and we can talk about this more later. We haven't done a debrief on that yet, but some psychological things came up about putting that stuff into my body. And
in your carb loading plan?
Yes. And
we haven't talked about this yet.
Yeah.
Ooh, insight.
Yeah. So I guess like even how I saw myself in photos, or what I really hesitated on eating, what I could and couldn't actually execute, was very interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's more to dig up there. again, that probably most likely is stuff that's been with me since childhood, and has followed me for a long time, that I just haven't been fully aware of. And it kind of raced up a little bit at Geelong. I was very happy with Geelong. Like, I think it's a staged process. Like, I'm happy to be super patient in this process.
Yeah.
And it was the best I've done on nutrition. I didn't bonk. I was speeding up in the run. I felt good. I felt like I'd really done a good job on my nutrition, but I didn't do everything that was on the plan. And I just had to recognize that it's a journey, and that I'm getting used to all these things, because it was the first race that I actually implemented a proper race plan.
Yeah. And we haven't even done the 70.3 race nutrition yet. That was just something we kind of tackled in Power Hour the week of the race. So
it was,
definitely lots of room to grow there, and lots of things that we can tweak and evolve.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for you to do that too, because that was like, again, the tip of the iceberg and things that we can do. But it's very interesting that psychologically there's stuff that brought up, and a lot of people would be the same. Like, you're not alone in that. Don't feel like you are.
Yeah. I think that's the other side of this as well, is I have found that I am connecting with people along the journey as I share what I'm doing here as part of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy, like to be able to share that with my friends who are racing. And I've got a training partner, Iron Mum of 4. She has 4 little kids that are very close together. So we're both mums of 4. But her challenges are quite different to mine. But it's really nice to be able to connect with her and connect with others that I train with, and ask them questions and kind of share with them some of the things I'm learning as well. That's been really great. Like, it's just been, I love that opportunity to be able to share some of the things I'm learning, and of course encourage them to come along and do that for themselves as well, because it's so individual.
Yeah.
Tick. Yeah.
So if there is somebody in the same sort of boat as you, they're just starting triathlon, you know, they've been in the sport for a little while maybe, but they still really have no idea what they're doing, what would you say to somebody that is in that space?
So I remember when I first reached out to you, my concern was, I'm too early, I'm too rookie. Like, am I really going to benefit from this when I'm, you know, at the stage that I'm at? Do I need to be a more advanced triathlete to really be here and belong? And you were very encouraging that the earlier you start, the better, that actually the earlier in the journey, the more value you'll get from that. I 100% believe that I should have started earlier, now that I've done it, actually. So to have put in 18 months, I guess close to 2 years of the amount of training and racing and things that I've done, I've already been like, the more I've learned, the more I've realized, actually, I'm already dealing with some symptoms and issues from having done that underfueled and from not having that information. I think ideally, if I'd been like learning about nutrition alongside learning how to swim, learning how to like ride a bike, then potentially I could have avoided some of those things, because I was creating issues without even realizing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that I didn't know that could have caused, and they could have been worse than what they actually are. So at least I've got the awareness now to be able to pick up things early, to be able to read and learn and participate in these conversations, and then have a think about what's happening in my body, look for any red flags, and be able to go and get things tested and looked at and see if that is actually happening. And so that's been also, I guess, a part of me for this first round that we've gone through together, is, you know, having blood tests done to see where I'm actually at, not just be putting all these supplements into my body because I'm trying to like just make sure I don't have a problem, but, you know, I don't even know like what is actually going on. So yeah, I would say that I would encourage beginner, rookie, early triathletes to start learning about nutrition as early as possible, and don't think that you need to wait until you're like at the point of like podiums or whatever, or because those things can escalate quite quickly and you might get there sooner. And even if you have no ambition about it, what is most important is that most people do this sport because they want to be strong and healthy and fit and they want to age well and they want to have a long life. So the worst thing we could do is to put all this time and energy and effort into it and not be looking after our nutrition properly, because the damage that can be caused by getting that wrong is pretty scary.
Yeah. Couldn't have said that better myself, Jo. I think, the earlier you start, the better. But we don't prioritize nutrition, particularly in the early days, because there's so much else to do.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're learning how to clip into your bike or figure out how to swim without drowning, things like that. Yeah. Nobody really thinks about, I now need to do the nutrition side of things. And I guess that's one of my biggest passions, is to change that landscape for triathletes, is that as soon as you've done those three things, as quickly as you can, you need to work on the fourth leg, because it makes everything work better. And you're right, it does keep the body working properly, putting the right things in at the right time so that you don't end up sick, injured, with osteoporosis, all the negative impacts that can happen from not fueling correctly.
Yeah. And I think it also helps with coping with the balance of life and work and other things as well. I haven't just been kind of full-time. I did actually have a executive general manager role in an ASX listed tech company for a year of this journey. It's just been that then I left that, I wasn't enjoying it and I didn't need to be there. So I did have that period where I have the freedom now to do that, but I also was balancing this very high level role for a period of time in the early stages. I think it was helpful that I was very, very beginner, so the training load was less. My races were a lot shorter as well. So
it's still a lot though.
It was a lot, yeah. And I think with better nutrition, I would have been able to handle that role better as well, and maybe not be so tired turning up on Monday, wondering how I was going to get through that whole week. Sitting on Zoom calls for the whole week, just getting so sore in the chair because you're just struggling to kind of stay awake and sit still because your body's going through all this stuff going, hey, we need to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it also gives great balance, to those things, energy to be able to live life as well.
Yeah. And what's next for you then? So you have one of the fullest race calendars I've ever seen. Yeah. You give Erin, one of our athletes who loves to race, a real good run for her money.
Yeah.
What's the big picture plan? Do you want to get to Kona eventually? What do you want to do?
So I never thought that I did want to, actually. And I was very unsure about this whole, doing a full Ironman thing, because I thought, at what point do you lose the joy? I'm here for joy. I'm here I'm real clear on my own reasons. And just what I was seeing, I wasn't seeing a lot of joy on that finish line. Everyone expresses that in their own ways, I guess. But I was a bit skeptical about whether I wanted that for myself, and very aware that you don't have to do that and feel pressured to do that for whatever reason. You're not a real triathlete if you haven't done it or anything. I'm not worried about those things. But I did actually go to Kona and watch the men's race in October. And one of the best experiences of my life was that I swam the Ironman course in the training run, which was a swim on the course. It was timed. It was just one of the most amazing things I've ever achieved in my life for someone who less than 2 years ago could not swim to the first ladder in the pool. To actually be able to confidently enjoy and swim and come out with gas in the tank. I felt so good about that. I got to ride out on the course. I ran, I got to experience a large sections of the course, took my bike out there and loved it. I actually used it as training for Busselton because I signed up for Noosa and Busselton. So I kind of came back. Noosa was a bit of a stretch. It was straight off the plane. That just didn't work. It was an amazing training camp kind of experience. And it did kind of make me have that feeling of I think I can do it. And so I actually have signed up for Challenge Roth next year.
Oh, have you? Heard it here first.
I haven't told you.
No.
And so that's exciting. I know in myself that when I get a feeling I know I can do something, that I can't really let myself off the hook from that point. I feel like I owe it to myself to go for it. It's happened to me before with bungee jumping. I was in Queenstown. I was like, never am I ever going to bungee jump in my entire life. That's revolting. I hate heights. And I went to like a networking event. I was in this entrepreneurs organization and they did a networking event. Just typical. You knew that they were going to take you there. So I've dressed up like high heels, very inappropriate outfit for bungee jumping. Like, because I'm like, no way are these guys making me do this. Hell no. But the longer the night went on, the more I realized I could actually do it. Yeah, so I ended up kind of leaving that event and
putting a onesie on.
No, it was like late. I went home. I wanted to do it on my own terms, not in front of anyone. I didn't want to be the last to jump off or anything like that. So I just got up super early the next morning and went out there on my own and I just jumped off that bloody thing because I was like, I knew I could do it. I have to do it. I can't leave without doing it. So Kona kind of gave me that feeling, just being there and being surrounded by everything. And it was so exciting. So I don't know if I'll ever actually make it to Kona, but I did want to at least give myself a chance at the experience. And I'd heard Challenger-Roth was so amazing and such a great experience that I thought, let's hook in and see how we go. Yeah.
I love it.
I've got Marbella, so I did actually at Busselton qualify for the 70.3 World Champs in Marbella. And so it feels like a good solid year of building towards that goal, which is my number one goal for the year. And then focusing on extending myself to be able to get to that place, which I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping is successful. But that journey will be fun.
It will be. We'll make sure it's fun. Make sure you're fueling properly so that it is fun. And you can cross the finish line at Challenger-Roth with a smile on your face, not like vomiting your guts up or crawling.
Yeah, exactly.
Tick.
That is 100% the goal. Smiling is my coping mechanism. So
the smiling assassin.
Yeah, that helps a bit too.
I'm so excited for you, Jo. You're just at the beginning and you have so much potential. Like your mindset is there. We've just got to get your body to, get the training load under your belt, like build the strength and all those sorts of things. And you will achieve whatever you set your mind to. I have no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't give up. So you know what? That finish line feels so damn good.
Yeah.
It's just such a great experience. I get why the whole thing about it, how addictive it is, because just crossing that finish line and being surrounded by such positive energy and so many people who are just happy for you and happy for each other. And like, I don't know, I love it so much. And I can see why triathlon is just like going from strength to strength, because the community is something that I very much want to be a part of. I've really gone in and met so many great people and made so many friends. And I honestly don't know what I would have done if I didn't have that. Yeah.
You would have found something, I'm sure. But it's a great way to fill your time and set your body up for a long and prosperous lifespan. Health span is what we're looking for.
That's it.
Thank you so much, Jo. If somebody wants to follow your journey, where can they find you?
So really Instagram is kind of where I live. And that's Jo Hurley. Basically, so Hurley, the surf brand, you see that everywhere all the time. So, Jo Hurley on Instagram, and
I'll put it in the show notes for you if people want to follow along.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you so much, Jo. It's good to chat, and I'll see you in Power Hour soon. We can properly debrief on Geelong.
I know.
And tackle your supplements spreadsheet. I'm looking forward to saving you a crap load of money.
I know. Hey, me too.
Thanks, Jo.
Thank you.
Wow, what a powerhouse. I hope you found Jo's story as inspiring as I did. From business to triathlon, Jo brings such an intentional, thoughtful approach to how she does everything in life. And it's been really incredible to watch her confidence start to grow with her nutrition since joining the academy. And when she puts in the work and understands what she's doing, it's all going to be on autopilot, basically. So if you're just like Jo and just starting out in the sport and you're not sure if you're fueling right, or if you've been around for a little while and you are winging it like Jo describes, let this be your sign to stop, guessing. The right nutrition can completely change the way that you train, recover, and perform when you train for 3 sports. So if you're ready to learn how to fuel your body properly for triathlon, just like Jo, head to dietitianapproved.com/academy and register your interest for the next intake of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program. I'd love to help you turn your nutrition into your secret weapon too. Thank you so much for tuning in today. A huge thank you again to Jo for sharing her incredible story so openly, and I'll see you next week.